With us now is Mr. Van Gilmer. Mr. Gilmer, it's a real pleasure and privilege to have you with us today.
I'm glad to be here.
Very interesting to me is the fact that you are the director of music at the Baha'i Center in Wilmette, and it's such a wonderful component of civilization and our intellect, I would say. So what role does music play in the Baha'i faith?
You know, music is very important, I think, in any religion, but particularly one of the things that I was really attracted to when I read about music in the Baha'i faith was the writings about the effect of music on the heart and the spirit of man. And while it might not have been written that way in other religious history, we know that music is very important. I had for a long time used instruments, and still do, play a piano or a guitar. But when I came to the Baha'i House of Worship for the North American continent, I came with having to have a whole new experience, and that is to direct a choir, an a cappella choir, and an a cappella choir singing music based on any of the religious scriptures. And I didn't know how hard that would be. Often when we have a guitar or we have an orchestra or a piano, we can rely on it to fill in, to play other accompanying melodies while we're singing. But all of a sudden I found immediately that now it's dependent upon the voice alone in the main structure of the houses of worship in the world. And in this particular one, to now find music that could be sung a cappella, that is based on scripture, that is also beautiful, and you have pretty good voices. It wasn't that easy. So I've been learning all the while I've been there to develop a choir that isn't dependent upon accompaniment, that will not just sing music based on Baha'i scripture, but music based on any of the religious scriptures, sacred scriptures. So finding it is difficult. Being able to sing it is not particularly easy because you need to have very good voices when it's just voices. And so it's been, for me, an experience that has been growing and growing. Also to think about the music in this structure, this large temple, and how now you'll have to pause at times. You'll have to allow the music to fill the space, and I'm learning that as the years pass.
How fulfilling music can be and how influential. It can bring tears to people's eyes. It can motivate people in so many different directions. Just really amazing. We have to include in this program some selections of yours. I hope that we'll get some from the center. I'd like to ask you a little bit about your visits to Israel. You've actually visited there. You've conducted musical festivals in Haifa, I believe.
I haven't conducted festivals in Haifa, but I have been there for personal spiritual development, but also I've been there to sing with a large choir, and then I have been there and sung as an individual. So, I never thought as a child, of course I wasn't Baha'i, but I never thought about going to Israel. I never thought I would ever go to Israel. And then as I became a Baha'i, and I found that in Israel are some of the most sacred places of several religions. My beginning was in the Christian faith, and it was in the Southern Baptist Church, and that Southern Baptist Church was African American. And so what I learned about Israel was, of course, what Christ had been. And then becoming a Baha'i and going there, first just getting over the awe of coming into the airport, and then coming into Israel, and particularly to Haifa. But then singing, and I never thought about singing there, you know, and I first went on what we call a pilgrimage, and that's just to tour the Baha'i gardens and places, holy places, but also to go to other religious holy places. And then with a choir, we sang. We sang for the Baha'is in Haifa. Then I went there for the opening of the terraces to the Shrine of the Bab on the slope of Mount Carmel. And I hadn't gone there to sing, but because I've sung around quite a bit, I was asked to sing at the opening ceremonies for that. And just the feeling of singing in that place makes me wonder, was that me? Was that us? So going to Israel is not something I thought I would do, but I've been there now several times, quite a few times. Singing there was not something I thought I would do. The reception of the people during the opening of the terraces was just unbelievable. The people of Haifa came out to see all of these people who came from around the world to see this opening of the terraces. Very, very special, beautiful gardens. And it was just a nice thing to experience.
I know exactly what you're referring to with regard to the beauty of the Baha'i Gardens in Haifa. And speaking of beauty, you also conduct a choral group. Tell us about the choral festival that you...
As when I came to work as the music director for the Baha'i House of Worship, I thought it would be a great experience for the people who are Baha'is and who are not Baha'is to have an opportunity to sing in this beautiful space. And so I asked if I might have what we call now is a choral festival, Baha'i choral festival there, where usually about 200 people or so come to Wilmette to learn music that we will then sing in a devotional concert in the House of Worship. So this is again 200 people singing a cappella sacred music in the House of Worship. It's quite a popular thing, but I hadn't expected it to be. In fact, the first year I thought, boy, if we can get 50 people, 60 people, we'll be doing good. And that was one of the largest of our gatherings. So we said, well, we should probably have it every year. And this is now our 8th year having this choral festival. And people who come are not just Baha'i, they're Baha'i and people who are not Baha'i. We sing a variety of music, and being able to sing music based on the scripture of several religious scriptures has been also very attracting to a lot of people, because you now go to hear the music, and it's not just music that we would call Baha'i music. It's music that can be from whatever my own religion is. It can be from that religion that I'm singing. So it's a very open, wonderful feeling of unity when you come to that.
One of your selections is Eliyahu Hanavi. Why did you choose that?
I thought, living in the North Shore area of Chicago, and particularly in Wilmette, in an area where there are a lot of people who are of Jewish background, I thought, here's the House of Worship, the Baha'i House of Worship sitting here, and most of the music up until that particular time had all been based on old and new scriptures, but in English. And I happened to had at the time, and still do, have cantors in a couple of the synagogues here, who I asked if you would tell me what you think we might be able to learn to sing in the house of worship. And Eliyahu was one of the things they mentioned. It turned out it became the song we had. I think the arrangement we did had not been recorded before. It was just new. So we brought it, and you heard Joyce. Joyce helped us with learning how to pronounce the words. We went over and over and over it. And we were very happy to find out that our friends and our neighbors who were Jewish who came were very impressed with our trying to sing now in Hebrew, something that practically none of the choir had ever done before. So we each year we think about how we can add something that opens our diversity. And I'm always reluctant to try anything that we can't do really well. I would hate for people to come and say, boy, I wish they wouldn't have sung that song. I wish they hadn't used that language or tried to sing and not sing it right. So we were very proud of being able to learn Eliyahu. And we've done it several times in the house of worship since. Once the choir learned it, it was able to keep it in our repertoire.
The power of music, uniting the world with inspiration and goodwill, really most commendable. What would you like to add before we conclude our interview for today?
Well, one of the things I say to the members of our choir is we have to first feel what that music is about, and try our best to have that feeling be a part of the music. So we're not just singing the words and the notes as they fall on the paper. We're learning what they are. We're learning the melodies, and then we're trying to express them from heart to heart. And so being able to do that with a variety of scripture, a variety of musical styles, from classical to gospel, has been a challenge, but it's been a very attracting thing, because music touches us in a way that the spoken word doesn't necessarily touch us. I can say things to you, but if I sing them to you, they have a different feel, a different meaning, if I also sing them from my heart.
So this has been a real privilege and a great pleasure having you on the show. And I must attend one of your concerts, and of course we will include some selections that Joyce will give us for this program. Thank you again so very much.
Thank you. It's very nice to be here.